Good afternoon, Greenfield community. My name is Thomas Maybanks and we're back again with another G Talk. Today, we're going to be addressing everybody's favorite topic, the Ielts. I'm here with two very special guests from the Global Citizens class. With me we have...
Trần Quang Minh. I'm from 11G1.
And?
I'm William Coy. I'm currently a 10th grade student in British School.
The reason I've asked these two students to join me today is because they went ahead and got their Ielts earlier than we usually recommend in the Global Citizens program. So we're going to have a short little interview with them. We're going to find out their perspectives on the Ielts. We're going to pick up some useful tips and tricks, and then we're going to see where it goes from there. So my first question is, gents, why did you do the Ielts early? Chanming?
So mostly my mom wanted to have a real accurate evaluation of where I'm at with my IELTS skill. So maybe after this year in my summer I can retake it and then kind of know where I can learn from there and kind of improve from the real IELTS test itself.
A very useful and practical way of going about it. It's actually something we do recommend. I did recommend that you do that, and I recommend it often with grade 11s, that they do at least one IELTS in January before they attempt the final one the following summer in June.
Yeah, if they have the budget.
Yeah, of course, with the budget. Of course, the IELTS is an expensive test to take. It averages between 4 and 5 million depending on where you take it.
Yeah.
But that being said, knowledge is invaluable. Experience is completely invaluable. And would you say that this strategy helps you?
I think the strategies that I guess kind of helped me to get to the kind of the mark that I'm at now is just, just casually expose myself to English daily. Almost 90% of the documents that I read daily nowadays are in English.
Yeah.
And also kind of the day-to-day conversation on the internet I also do in English as well.
Yeah.
I also join English groups about my hobbies and whatnot. So we can talk about various other topics every day. There's always people available. So I think that's what's also helped me a lot in my English.
And you do plan on redoing it again?
Yeah, I'm planning on redoing it again because even though I got 7, it's not enough for scholarship around here, so I think I'll have to retake it to try to get higher marks. Okay.
It's interesting you say that because we have been looking into all the many universities that are offering scholarships and whatnot for the for IELTS entry scores, and they usually average around 6.5 or 7 if you're looking to gain immediate access into universities with your IELTS score. Mingkoi, why did you decide to take the IELTS early?
The first one is the IELTS test is the most easiest ways and the most accurately way for me to know my level. And the second reason because my family and I have planned that I will have to go abroad this year, and in order to get a scholarship, I will have to get the IELTS band because it's proof my English skill that's enough to go abroad and understand what the language is speak there.
Yeah. Well, those are two very good reasons. I mean, obviously it's excellent to know where you're at, and then additionally to go abroad, and that really brings us up to the next point, the real reason and the purpose for getting an IELTS. I mean, it's useful not only in terms of a metric for English, but it really provides us with a passport, if you would like, not only to educational institutes, but also to job opportunities, scholarship opportunities, and intern opportunities once you're out of school. Additionally, there are aspects of the IELTS which really are incorporated into everyday life and university life. So the total accumulation of skills that are acquired when doing the IELTS very accurately track in real life and in a very real and practical way, which is one of the main reasons we made it one of the core pillars of high school GC's coursework. That being said, what new knowledge or kind of perspectives did you gain through the process of doing the IELTS, Chanming?
So I think one of the kind of the thing that I learned from doing IELTS that wasn't available in my mind before is you're kind of forced into kind of a mindset of having to see the same problem on different perspective, especially in writing tests. The more you see it in different perspective, the more that you have to use like different vocabulary and like grammatical tenses, because sometimes some words you would only apply to this side, and you know if it's on that side you apply it more. And also, I mean, it's also applicable when in real life for that kind of mindset, you know, because when you only kind of like see things on one side, it's hard to judge, and sometimes you're kind of like resilient to changes.
Yeah. One of the fundamental aspects of the writing side of IELTS is this kind of internal debate you have in the second paper, where you often have to present both sides of an argument, weigh them up equally, and then present a conclusion. And this is a skill that is used in every aspect of life, not only at school and university. I mean, Koi, what about you? What did you kind of learn that was new for you throughout doing IELTS?
Throughout the process that I do IELTS and the progress that I've made, I think that the new thing that I have learned is the ability to, I don't know if it's for you guys or not, but I think that through the process I make myself to speak, of the speaking skills I speak more natural, and I have the more ideas to speak and to expand my ideas when I talk about something that will make the listener to understand it very well, and have a deeper understanding in the situation or the problem that I was mentioning.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, parents in particular, want their kids to be confident speakers, public speakers. I think we all understand that, like, you can have the most genius ideas in the world, but if you're unable to communicate them to people, they die within you. You know, they don't ever see the light of day. So that ability to speak, that ability and that confidence of knowing that when you speak, you're doing so in a logical and structured manner is really like a fantastic thing to have. So I think that leads us on to the next obvious part, which is, which of the skills did you really struggle with the most?
I would say I'm not the best listener out there. Sometimes I kind of missed out the words that they say, or sometimes it's like a big content. I find this rather deadly, and I kind of like pay a big price for that in my IELTS test. That was one of my lowest score out of all the 4 bands. Yeah, that's something I'd say I have to work upon. Like,
it's surprising to me. I usually find that the listening is the easiest usually, but it's interesting you say that. What about you, Minko?
Opposite to Chen-Ming, which is his cup of tea, is writing. I'm really bad at writing, especially on task 1, because data and number are not my really cup of teas. I got math, and I really struggle in comparing the data and to make good score. And up to task 2, I might take quite an amount of time to think of an idea to demonstrate or to illustrate the ideas of the drawbacks or the advantages of any problems.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. In my opinion, the writing is by far the hardest aspect. It's the aspect that catches people up. Most native speakers can't get above a 7 for the writing part, simply because it is not really a judgment or a metric on your ability to write in English. It is more an assessment of the specific skills, i.e. for task 1, it's trend analysis and description, so you're describing what you see in front of you. It's not as easy as it sounds. And task 2, it's a proper academic argument, an approach to a problem where you're balancing out 2 sides of a story, presenting a hypothesis and a well-fledged and argued conclusion. This is not something everybody can do. And this is why we put so much emphasis into the writing aspect of the IELTS, because this is, number 1, very difficult. Number 2, something that directly translates to university. So, counter side, what was the easiest part for you?
Speaking and reading. Even though I wasn't like entirely happy with my English speaking performance on the day.
So you, to me, are a very natural speaker. You're excellent. I've always thought that about you. But you had a hard time on the day. Please, just elaborate why.
Before that, my mom was kind of planning oh yeah, you're gonna have the test after 10, and then you wait from 10 to 2 a.m. until you take the speaking test. And I wasn't able to take a nap or relax after having doing 3 other skills. So it kind of affected my mental ability a little bit. and also the fact that before that, like after now, I know that I can technically lie about what I can say in the speaking test, because they evaluate your speaking skill, not
the truth of what you're saying.
Not
right? You can make up a
content.
story. Yeah, very good point.
So when they asked me about like that one very hard question, I froze for like a couple times.
So what would you advise students to do in this situation?
I think I mean, first of all, like I've already mentioned, just lie. Like they don't care as long as.
Let's not call it lying. Let's say be creative.
Yeah, I mean, showcase your vocabulary.
Yeah.
Like bank, like on the day. Like that's what they care about the most, not the truth, but your skill.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. When it comes to the speaking, have a story prepared. Minkoy, what about you?
Well, I think the most easiest way and the skills that I got the high score, which is listening. I just have to write the hidden word within, or the sometimes there is a map example, and I find it really tricky as the first one. However, I have encountered by when to start the track, use the pencil and follow the path that they're talking about, and it will be a lot easier for you guys, the listener. If you are planning to taking the IELTS test, please be careful at the map question. It is really tricky, and it may get you to have a low score, so please be careful on that.
That's very interesting. So you approach it like a problem, or you recognize patterns in the questions.
Yes.
And then you answer accordingly. So it's very good, because I guess for me, the listening part is, I don't have to think about it so much because it is my native language, but as a second language speaker, you actually have a strategy for your listening. It's very, very wise, very, very clever way of doing it. So you listen for specific word patterns and you see them repeating throughout.
Yes.
Very good. Yeah, I'm impressed. I guess this leads very naturally onto my penultimate question, which is, how have you and how do you plan on utilizing these skills in the future? Let's start with Minkoy, since you have a very clear plan about what you want to do moving forward next year, going international. What do you plan on doing with these skills?
So, with the skills that I have acquired, that I find myself, I'm quite confident at public speaking, and I think that speaking is really my cup of tea. I'm freely to express what I want to the listener, that the communities, or the that I want to express to everyone, and I think that it will be really effective for my future. If maybe, just maybe, I might be a boss in the future in a big corporation, because the public speaking, I think, is really essential, because we may have when there's maybe a tough time or struggle time of the corporation, you have to stand out and point out a speech for everyone to compromise, to motivate them and to encourage them to work more harder, to contribute not only to the performance of the corporation, but to make the corporation more bigger and more ubiquitous to everyone.
All right, very good. You have very big plans. I like that. He's talking about when he's a CEO and when he has to knuckle down and communicate with everybody. Excellent. So that's your plan. What about you, Chaiming?
I mean, like, judging on the IELTS test itself, like there are a lot of situations that you will encounter in real life in like foreign countries that are in IELTS. So like the more that you're familiar with the test, like the better your chance of having an easy time going aboard. So I mean, of course, those are applicable when you finish the IELTS test. I mean, and also even if you finish IELTS and then finish grade 12 and going to university, the skill in writing, especially writing like academic writing skill, and also the kind of like the two-sided thinking kind of strategies that you apply in writing can be applicable for the academic writing in universities, because I mean they're gonna use that a lot to evaluate your skills, like as end term tests, whatnot. It's like everywhere in university. So I mean it's kind of like a survival skill that every student will have to attain.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. That, along with the reading strategies that you gain, being able to consume large amounts of information in a single sitting and then being able to summarize, break it down, and simplify it into its finer points. But if you could go back to your first sitting in the test, what would you change?
I'd say just advise my mom to, you know, bring me somewhere like after the reading test so I can take a rest, because like it was very tiring that day. Probably also, you know, knowing that I can be creative, I should probably be, you know, just speak out whatever is in my mind about the topic, and I guess focus more on the vocabulary that you can demonstrate to the interviewer on that day rather than the content of that. Probably also, you know, of course, work on my listening, because it went horrible that day. And maybe even so, I don't know, prepare some water to get hydrated.
So this is actually also very important. It's a 3.5 to 4 hour test, guys. There are breaks in between. You're moving from one section to another. Have some water. Have a little snack, a little high fructose or carby snack to keep your energy levels high. Remember that it's an endurance task on top of everything else. Minkoy, what about you?
I think that an aspect that I would change if I may went back time is that try to calm down, because it was my first time taking the test, so it is undeniable that I may have some concern or worry, but unfortunately I may have worried too much that when I entered the room and when I saw the questions on the computer, I was freaked out for 2 to 5 minutes, which I think it was really a waste, because during the 3 or 4 hours long test as that, only 2 or 5 minutes could change your future, because 2 to 5 minutes you could take that and consume it as the way that you could check your answer, relook up to the grammar or the spelling on the writing skills. Therefore, it will make you become more confident, and you'll be relieved after you got out to the room, and you're relieved because I have nothing to regret.
Good. Doing it more than once, having this kind of trial run is so beneficial, because you go in with the experience and the knowledge of how this thing is going to play out no matter what you do. So you end up saving large portions of time, because you don't have that panic. You don't have that scare at the beginning. You don't have to normalize to the situation. Some of my tips moving forward, these two fine gents here have actually nailed the first one on the head, which was, of course, budgeting and allowing yourself to test. The first one, to get comfortable, to gain and understand your level, to know what you're good at, what you're bad at, what you need to work on, what you can enhance. The second one, to get your highest possible score and really nail it. In terms of reading, I would say for this particular skill, guess what you have to do, guys? I've said this in previous G Talks, it's all about reading. There is no substitute for reading in terms of vocabulary, in terms of grammar, in terms of just plain old conversation. If you want your speech to flow, if you want to be a natural speaker, you need to read. You need to read every single day. There is no substitute for it. On top of that, at school, the types of things you can do, use every presentation as an opportunity. A presentation is not a punishment. It is a chance to show the world who you are, what you can do, and how powerful you can be as a speaker. Again, another one would be really take time to understand what the writing question is asking you. Figure out, either by joining our GC program or by studying through yourself, exactly what it is you have to do in task 1 and task 2, because they are completely different papers, completely different questions, and many native level speakers completely mess this up and get it wrong. All right. My final tip for this entire thing would be take it easy. You know, don't judge yourself too harshly on this. This is an incredibly complex test. It is meant to be more than an English test, which is why it's the world's most recognized English qualification. It is the next level. So if you do this and it doesn't go well, learn from it. It's not the end. You can always come back and do it again. And in fact, both of you are gonna have to do it again,
Yes.
because an IELTS qualification is only valid for 2 years. So I'd like to say thank you very much to my prestigious young guests here. And thank you for attending another G Talk with me. Have a good day and goodbye.
Bye bye.